Mulligan,
Here.
Lisa Kreckler,
Here.
Thomas Graffinino,
Here.
Phil DiOrio's here. The town attorney is not here at this moment. First order of business is to review and approve the November 10th, 2021 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First up, we have a couple resolutions. Christina, are you going to read for us? And hey, Lori, there was something that you and I were discussing about the resolution. Is that resolved on the updated resolution? Okay, thank you.
Whereas Marina Han has applied for variances at 70 Tuttle Drive, Shelter Island, New York, whereas the applicant wishes to demolish the existing non-conforming house and foundation and has proposed a new and large house with a new foundation in the same footprint. The applicant seeks variances of approximately 22.6 feet, varying to 21.8 feet in the front yard setback, and a side yard variance on the west side, varying approximately from 20.7 feet to 22.7 feet. And a side yard variance on the east side, approximately 18.9 feet. Whereas this board considered the application on October 27, 2021, this board now wishes to render a decision on this application. Resolved that the approval to demolish and construct a new house as shown on an architectural plans by Fifield, Piaker, Allman Architects, and the site plan by Sherman Engineering and Consulting. The requested variance for the above described work to be conducted on the premises is hereby granted, subject to the following. Construction materials and equipment shall be staged on the property and outside of the regulated area. Parking plan shall adhere to the parking plan and accompanying figures 1 and 2 submitted by Matthew Sherman Engineering and Consulting. The construction site shall be enclosed with 4-foot construction silt fence. No public street or private right-of-way may be impaired during construction. Applicant must repair any damage to any adjacent road or street caused by construction vehicles to the satisfaction of town highway superintendent. The project manager shall post a sign on the site with his cell phone number and shall address in timely fashion neighbors' concerns regarding litter control, parking, noise, road conditions, and other impacts caused by the project. There shall be no further expansion of SFLA, structures, walks, patios, and no further footprint coverage expansion shall be allowed. The construction fence shall be erected and maintained for the duration of the construction. HVAC units shall maintain levels below 60 decibels, and outdoor and indoor construction work shall be conducted only Mondays through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., excluding holidays.
Okay. Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well.
Whereas Peter Ansel and Jennifer Jane have applied for a variance at 12 Emerson Lane, Shelter Island, New York, whereas the applicant wishes to remove an existing front brick patio and replace it with a new larger deck, the applicant seeks a 5.1 feet front yard variance. This board considered the application on October 27, 2021, and this board now wishes to render a decision on this application. Be it resolved that the requested variance to remove a brick patio and replace it with a wood deck as shown on site plan by Levelin Engineering is hereby granted.
So please sign in. Ma'am, I don't know if you signed in. Thank you. Okay, Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on to the application for 23 Grand Avenue, CXR Hospitality, Cheekwood Inn LLC.
The hearing on the application of CXR Hospitality at Cheekwood Inn LLC for variances at 23 Grand Avenue, Shelter Island Heights, New York, which is Zone AA River to A on Shelter Island zoning map and specifically described on the Suffolk County tax map at 700-5-5-13.1. Applicant wishes to reconstruct the porch, expand a new foundation with full basement and a new recessed patio. A front yard variance 38 feet varying to 33.6 feet is required for a new foundation of the front porch. Front yard variance of 30 feet varying to 25.6 feet is required for the new enlarged foundation, which includes a recessed patio and stairs to the lower basement. A special permit is required for the expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming building by another 856 square feet. The correspondence was received from Shelter Island Heights Property Owners Corporation dated November 12, 2021. In general, they support the request, all the requested variances, and also the special permit, noting that the Heights does not typically support increasing an existing nonconformity. However, given that the majority of the expansion will be below grade and will not be observed from the street level, the committees also support the special permit. Two neighbors initially expressed concerns about the increased size of the foundation. The stairs were not being installed in the rear of the building, and most importantly, storage area in the basement or the patio could be converted into usable commercial space. The committees had some of the same concerns. Shelter Island Heights Property Owner Corporation requests the following restrictions: that the new basement and below grade stairwell only be used for storage or access to the storage area in perpetuity, never converted to habitable or commercial space. That there is an ample drainage on the property to manage runoff. Runoff should never be directed into Heights sewer system. Any approved project should be subject to the Heights construction and renovation regulations. No additional structures should be allowed to be constructed on the property.
Is there someone here to present?
Yes, sir. This is Stephen Kiley. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Can you hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and rest of the board. My name is Stephen Kiley, and I represent the owner of the subject property, CXR Hospitality at Cheekwood Inn LLC, particularly the managing member, Stacy Soloviev, who purchased the property in July of 2020. The subject property is located in Shelter Island Heights at 23 Grand Avenue. It is better known as the Cheekwood Hotel. The property, as referenced before, is located in the AA zoning district reversion back to A. We are here tonight because we are seeking 3 front yard setback area variances. And since we are altering or slightly expanding a non-conforming structure, a special permit is also required due to the creation of new nonconformity. As per the subject denial letter dated September 29, 2021, my client is proposing to reconstruct the front porch of an existing guest cottage with new foundation in the exact same location as it was previously, thereby holding a 2-foot to 6.6 foot front yard setback where 40 feet is required. Further, my client seeks to raise the cottage and construct a new foundation underneath, as well as add an exterior staircase to a new unfinished basement, whereby holding 10 feet to 14.6 feet of front yard setback, where again, 40 feet is required. The setbacks being proposed for the new foundation and the exterior staircase will not encroach any further into the front yard setback than what is already being held. The subject cottage is, upon information and belief, 141 years old, and as such existed prior to the first zoning code, which was adopted in 1957. Thus, the location of same, for lack of a better term, is grandfathered. However, the porch was mistakenly removed by the previous contractor. So my client would like to rebuild it in place and in kind, whereby it would aesthetically look identical to what has existed historically. The porch would sit upon a new foundation underneath, which will be, for all intents and purposes, undetectable to anyone looking at it. My client would also like to, while that work is being done on the front porch, raise the existing cottage and put in a new foundation with an unfinished full basement underneath. And as referenced earlier, put in an exterior staircase to said basement. It should be noted that the term patio unfortunately was used to refer to the area located at the bottom of the proposed staircase. This term was originally used by the surveyor and for sake of consistency carried forward. However, such term is a mischaracterization. A patio, as defined by Webster's, is a recreation area that adjoins a dwelling and is often paved and is adapted especially to outdoor dining. The landing of the staircase is indeed paved and adjoins the cottage, but will not, under any circumstances, be used for anything other than a landing, which is defined by Webster's again as a level part of a staircase as at the end of a flight of stairs. The area will be used in such a manner, not for recreation, but so that outdoor furniture and such can easily be maneuvered into the basement for off-season storage. Therefore, the word patio and the connotations and the negative ones associated with it should not be part of this discussion. Additionally, the engineer did propose windows to be placed on either side of the basement entrance for lighting purposes, but we have removed them from the plan as to further substantiate that there is no intention to use that space for anything other than storage. In accordance with the aforementioned and my previously submitted application, the subject relief should be granted as it will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, nor be a detriment to nearby properties, as the cottage with porch existed for more than a century and there have been no allegations of it being any sort of detriment. Right now, the cottage looks like a face without a nose. Porches are part of the soul of the heights and as such should be allowed to be reconstructed. And a new foundation and subterranean staircase with landing would not similarly cause any detriments, as the vast majority of the foundation and landing are invisible due to being underground. And at most 3 feet of foundation in certain areas and 3 feet of proposed cable railing would potentially be visible, but could be mitigated if the board wants screening. However, it should be noted that the same amount of foundation showing now is what would be showing if the relief is granted, no more. And since Shelter Island Heights is a historic district, the character of the neighborhood, when viewed through the lens of A zoning, is a community of nonconformity. As acknowledged in the Shelter Island Heights property owners letter dated November 12, 2021, the vast majority, if not all, of the surrounding properties, upon mere visual inspection, violate the current zoning code in some capacity. Therefore, what we are asking for is in fact, I would argue, in keeping with the community. Additionally, there is no other feasible method other than the request for relief available to rebuild the exact same porch, be able to preserve the structural integrity of the cottage, allow the basement to be used for its maximum utility, and allow for indoor storage for seasonal items. And while the variance requested seem at first blush mathematically substantial, practically speaking, they are not. As in the main, we are seeking only to keep the historically set setbacks, not increase them at all. And when compared to surrounding properties, they're actually, as I said earlier, in keeping with them. There will be no adverse environmental impact because, as stated earlier, the proposed footprint has been in existence for over 100 years, but for the exterior staircase, and there's been no such claims of such. To ensure it remains that way, my client is proposing to install dry wells to capture all potential runoff. The stair landing will have 2 dry wells, and there will be 2 10 by 8 by 10, 800 cubic feet dry wells being installed at the north corner of the cottage. And lastly, the difficulty was not self-created, as my client purchased the property with the porch legally intact and the setbacks established. And but for an error, we would not be here for the porch and merely be seeking a de minimis request for the foundation and the exterior staircase. In conclusion, and in accordance with the prior submissions and tonight's presentation, I respectfully request that the instant variances be granted, along with the special permit for the alteration of the subject pre-existing non-conforming cottage. Are there any questions?
Can I ask, did you consider putting the door to the basement in the rear of the building, kind of in the center of the foundation that you're going to be pouring? So that you would not need some sort of stairway down the side there.
Yes, it was discussed, but potentially, since this is a guest cottage, my client may want to put other means of egress back in the rear of the property, and that would complicate doing that. Like there's a couple rooms on the first floor that would need other exterior means of ingress and egress.
Why would they need that?
Safety purposes.
On the first floor?
Correct. That's what I'm being told by the engineer, and it's something that they're not proposing right now, but they may want to put in exterior, again, means for ingress and egress.
So a stairway in the back?
No, just doors with
Doors.
steps.
Doors and steps.
With like space, like patio space back there?
No, no patio. There's going to be absolutely no patio.
But so the egress would be on the first floor as a separate way to enter those guest rooms?
Correct. So you have the 4 bedrooms, guest rooms. There's 2 in the front that you have easy access to the entry hall, and then you have the 2 in the back. So it's being contemplated to put doorways in the back for a way to get out, potentially if there's a fire or anything. And again, if you look at the cottage and the previous iterations of the cottage before any work was done, there were bushes on that side that would block any view of the exterior staircase of the basement. And similarly, we would put that if the board so chooses.
Okay, and then we don't have any dimensions on these elevations here. And so you're talking about raising the building to put the foundation under it. And I'm wondering if that's going to trigger some sort of need for height variance if we're going up high enough to get to that. But it's unknowable based on the plans that we have here.
No, and I apologize for that. I sent over new plans today that have those figures. And the existing height of the cottage is what's going to be the height of the cottage after the new foundation is put in. So the existing height of the cottage on the side of the cottage is the rear of the cottage, because the property slopes, is 27 foot 3 inches, and the front of the cottage is 25 feet 11. And again, I submitted those plans. I'm sure the secretary was home. And
And those will
again,
remain? Those will remain the heights?
correct. The existing height will be the height after the foundation's put in.
What kind of seasonal storage items that you referenced are you planning to store in the basement?
I'm assuming some outdoor furniture.
How often will it be accessed? Is this going to be something that's just beginning and end of the season, or are you going to be constantly going in there like to get, I don't know, whatever guests need?
No, it's again going to be used for seasonal storage. It's either that or bubble wrapping stuff and creating an eyesore on the property. So we just wanted a place to keep those items out of the weather and out of people's eyesight.
Bill, do you have anything? Tom? Lynn,
No,
Lisa?
Just to go back, I want to confirm that, are you going, I don't see it in the plans. Are you going to be putting any bushes or barriers along that basement access? Is there going to be a fence or anything?
Well, yeah, in the plans, I'm not sure, you don't see it. There's a cable railing.
I see it along the front and the side. Is that like a see-through fence? Or are you going to put bushes along that as well?
Whatever the board would want us to do, we'll
Plantings?
do. Whatever the board would want us to do, we'll do.
What is that fence made of?
It's a cable railing.
It's just a cable.
Oh,
round.
okay.
Cable around.
We have no issue with landscaping and putting screening so you don't see the cable railing.
Anybody else here? Because I want to ask. Stella, do you have anything?
Thank
You're
you.
muted.
Sorry, still haven't gotten the hang of it. So it's Stella Lagutis, and I am representing the Shelter Island Heights Property Owners Corp. I do want to just start my comments by saying that we've had a really good working relationship thus far with Stacy and her partners, and we're appreciative of the work that's getting done to breathe some new life into the Cheequet. So that's our starting point. As Christina mentioned when she read some of the portions of our letter, you had us at hello. The board and the committees are supportive of all the requests being put before you tonight. We were more concerned about the conditions or what we referenced as being provisos. We had actually reviewed those with Stacy before we submitted the letter to you. And she was, for the most part, she was in agreement with it. The only thing I want to clarify is that when we wrote the provisos or the conditions, we had used the word structure, and what we were really focused on there were other buildings that had a top and 4 walls. And although if they come forward, which I believe they will, to have a pool installed on the grounds, the Heights won't support that because we just don't support any pools in the lower Heights that require a variance. But the intention there was more of a building. So I just wanted to clarify that for you. And the other thing I just wanted to throw out was that in speaking with Stacy, she had mentioned that there might be storage of paper products there. So Lisa, you had asked, what would be stored there? Perhaps in writing the resolution, if this goes forward, you might want to underscore seasonal, either seasonal storage as was described by Stephen, or we just need to understand that it's more than seasonal storage. But in general, we're supportive and hope that you'll consider including the conditions.
Does anybody here have any comments on this application? No? Anybody else up here?
No.
All right, so we're gonna close the hearing.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, can I just respond to Stella's comments?
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, my client is fine with the first 3 conditions that they proposed. But the 4th one, even if it was deemed a building versus a structure as to what cannot be constructed on the property in the future, we'd object to that condition because I don't feel there's a nexus to this particular application to prohibit us in the future from seeking other buildings and or structures. But I just wanted to put that on the record.
So may I respond to that?
Sure.
Just, I want to respond to the Nexus comment. Had the foundation not be, if they wasn't being expanded, we probably wouldn't have had a concern. But the fact that everything isn't in place and in kind and there is an expansion just led us to think that there is potential that there would be more structures or buildings being put on the property, and the property is pretty tight as it is. As you may or may not know, it was by the prior owners merged. It was 2 separate lots and it was now turned into 1 lot. That reason was because they wanted to change the number of rooms between the two buildings, and they couldn't do that without merging the properties. So at the end of the day, we're very concerned about not losing any additional parking, for example. It's going to be more, difficult as it is to service all the rooms and the restaurants. So we just wanted to restrict any further expansion and taking up any additional space. So that was the rationale that we used.
Okay, but what I would say to that still is that any structure that was going to be proposed on this property kind of anywhere, as far as I can tell, would need a variance. So I don't know if we would feel comfortable putting in that one bit there, because I do think that no matter what, they would have to come here and explain the rationale for wanting that, whatever it is that they wanted there. But we haven't made any decision. We'll talk about it at the work session.
I understand. Thank
Right.
you.
Mr. Keeley, do you have any more comments?
Yeah, just one more thing in response to Stella's comment. In reality, all we're adding for the new staircase is 213 feet, of which 181 feet is usable. So that's all we're adding that's new, so to speak. Like, I know they came up with the 856-foot number, but that's all subterranean basement. It's replacement in place and kind of the foundation. So the only real added mass to this property is 213 feet. And that's the area of the staircase.
Stella, did you want to respond to that?
It's an expansion. So yes, I understand, Stephen. So thank you.
Okay.
231,
13.
13?
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody here? No? All right, so now we're going to close the hearing. We're going to keep it open to written, to written submissions until December 1st. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, and enjoy your evening.
The hearing on the application of 128 South Ferry and first variances at 128 South Ferry Road, Shelter Island, New York, which is zone A residential nearshore overlay or Shelter Island zoning map, and specifically described on the Suffolk County tax map as 700-24-1-51. Applicant wishes to construct a new ferry support building that requires 15 feet side yard variance. The correspondence, that was all letters in support, were received from all neighboring property owners: Nick Boyle, Jeffrey and Jay Lightcap, Cliff Clark, William Clark, second, Dale Clark, Letitia Clark, David Clark, Jennifer Clark, Michael Clark, Lisa Clark.
The family.
All Clarks.
300 years, you have to have something out there, right, Bill?
Right.
So, all right, Cliff, you're here to
Yes, sir.
present.
Um,
Please state your name, I guess.
Yes, I'm Cliff Clark, and my brother and I own the South Ferry Company. I'm the president of the organization. Our appeal is really to get a variance to the zoning of 25-foot setbacks for that A zone. And the purpose is we're seeking a 10-foot setback on the northern border. And the reason is it is a small piece of property. It's the only property South Ferry has other than what we call the East Landing, where our floating maintenance area is. It's the only area we have for our maintenance operation. And we're building a 50 by 80 maintenance facility that is specifically designed just for the support of the South Ferry operation. And the need for moving it outside of the 25-foot expectation into a 10-foot is we have on our north side, there's a 20-foot right of way. And if we move the building 15 feet closer to that, we'd only have a few feet, 10 feet, I think, to the actual building porch, or not porch, but the slab that's on the north side of the building, to bring in our equipment. Occasional tractor trailers come back in. We don't have a lot of traffic, but we'll have delivery of steel products and some lumber sometimes, things, and we just need the room there to accommodate that north side of the property. The other piece is that we're fully coating the south roof with solar panels, and that will effectively service that whole area with solar and maybe as many as 3 of our other cost centers for electricity on that one roof. And the problem we have is with the solar is along the border, on the south border and the west, or the east border, right along 114. But 25 years ago, we put some trees in there, some evergreens, some pine, and they've grown now to about 30 feet. And we put them in there for one reason, that is it's a residential neighborhood, and we block the view from travels on 114, as well as our neighbors to the south from having to look at the commercial nature of that. But that is South Ferry's sole inland maintenance property, and it's small, as you can tell. It's I think 270 by about 110 or so, 115 feet. So that's it. And to do this building is 50 by 80. We're going to remove 5 cargo containers that we had there. We took down an 1850s cow barn. Fortunately, we were able to find an antique dealer that could take the lumber, so that was repurposed. And that 1850s cow barn has been our storage facility for the maintenance. And when that thing was first being used, we had 2 boats, and we had to maintain the equipment for 2 of those boats. Now we have 5, and we're building a state-of-the-art post and beam structure that's going to be on that property that's completely designed just for South Ferry for the next 50 to 100 years. So our request is simply, if you could be so kind as to give us a variance on that 25-foot setback on the north boundary of that property.
Anybody have any questions? Bill?
No. No, I do not. I've been there and I know exactly what it's looks like. No question on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Lisa? Anybody in the audience have any comment? Anybody on our Zoom call have a comment? No? All right, so we're going to close this hearing and we're going to open a work session to discuss this right now. If that's all right, Cliff, if you just grab a seat, because whatever, this is just our little business.
Whatever you need. Thank you.
Okay. So I see the need for this. I see the need to have the space on the side of the building to be able to get in and turn around and whatever, whether it's tractor trailers or forklifts or other large machines. I think that it's going to be a good thing for South Ferry and getting rid of all those other containers and I think.
cleaning up the site,
Yep,
I think
Yep.
is a
Yep.
plus.
yep, and down the road, they're going to put in an IA septic for it as part of the special permit that they got from the town. If everybody's good, I think maybe we could go right to our checklist. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties? Anybody? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, tell me why.
I think that it's an upgrade. It will still be screened, right, by
Mhm.
foliage.
Yeah, they're not taking the foliages out. All staying.
Right, and I think that as opposed to having a bunch of small, old
Mhm.
Containers.
buildings and an old cow barn, I think that this
Right.
would be much nicer.
Mhm.
Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
I would say no.
I would say no. I think that this is a very thoughtful plan. And I think it accomplishes what they want and really is a very positive thing. Whether the requested variance is substantial, I would say it's somewhat substantial. It
Right.
is. Whether the variance would have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood.
It'll improve, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
too.
his improvement.
Okay.
Solar and IA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
solar and IA, everything will be dark
And
skies
cleaning up,
compliant.
getting rid of the containers and everything,
Okay,
putting a nice building up.
okay,
I think it's a positive.
okay. And whether or not the alleged difficulty was self-created, I would say yes. I mean,
Yeah.
they want to increase, but it's, it's not a deal killer for me.
No,
Cedar shake on the outside, it's a steel building. For the aesthetics, you have to see it, not shake, the cedar.
Okay.
On all sides or just the,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything here? All right, so we have a resolution prepared. If maybe, I'm going to close the work session. I'm going to reopen the hearing.
Whereas 128 South Fair Inc. applied for variance at 128 South Fair Road, Shelter Island, New York. Whereas the applicant wishes to construct an industrial structure and the applicant seeks a 15 feet side yard variance, and this board considered the application. This board now wishes to render a decision on this application. Be it resolved that the approval to demolish and construct new structure as shown on the site plan by Sherman Engineering and Consulting PE and survey by Michael Hammer and building plans by James Koppenhaver. The requested variances for the above described work to be conducted at the premises is hereby granted.
Okay, I have a vote. Bill?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, Cliff. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay. So we have one other bit of business. I don't know really where this is going to wind up. But we received some correspondence from Kimberly Ray. She's an attorney representing Timothy Dalton and Timothy J. Dalton Properties. And Kim has I guess objected to construction taking place across the right of way from Mr. Dalton's property. So we got this email and the town attorney asked if we would discuss this here tonight. And so I'd like to open this up first, Bob, to you, if you could just maybe describe, what we're doing here and how we got here.
Sure. I'll give you the short version because I'm sure Kim can give you more detail.
Kim's not here.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me try to find my video. There we go. So anyway, this had been an application before the ZBA back early this year, seeking some construction in the backyard, including a pool and a garage. The application was withdrawn because the applicant agreed basically to cease use of the right-of-way, which eliminated the front yard setback and turned it into a rear setback, and so the garage would be compliant with the ZBA code. So there wasn't a need to go to the zoning board. The complaint at this point is that there's an allegation that the applicant has essentially ignored that covenant and has been using the right of way, notwithstanding it, and thus this is, it should be considered a front yard setback again. Thus, a need for a stop work order and some type of action being taken. I think this is primarily a building department enforcement issue. Until such time as there's certainly there's no hearing or question really before the ZBA at this time, other than really to respond to this letter.
And let me ask you, Bob, when you say it's an enforcement thing, is there any sort of different proposed enforcement in the works?
Well, basically, there's a number of things that can be done. They can simply be cited and issue a summons. Chris can issue a stop work order. He can refuse to issue a certificate of occupancy for the structures until such time as certain remediation efforts are taken. But I think Chris also would like some type of direction from this board as what they think might be appropriate.
I'm not sure why we're providing that guidance. I guess I know it was addressed to us, but I'm not sure is that our purview?
I think primarily, I think that, as I said, your only real issue for the ZBA at this time, unless if Mr. Dalton could, if they so desired, file an appeal of the order allowing the construction, but that's up to him, and then it would be before you. But I think they're trying to, I think there's an issue at this point of trying to work this out before it gets to that point. I expected that I have been told that the various parties were going to be here for this, so I don't know why they're not.
Oh, there is a representative. Okay.
And you are here representing who, sir? Okay, thank you. So the wards are here, but there's nobody here from Timothy J. Dalton Properties or from Mrs. Ray's office. Here's what I would say, Bob, on this. I feel like this isn't our thing. All right. It could become our thing if I would suggest that you and Chris and Mr. Dalton and the wards discuss this, figure out something that's going to make everybody happy and make that happen. If in fact that cannot be done, then I guess Mr. Dalton is free to file an appeal and bring it to us as a ZBA issue. And then I guess we could have some sort of discussion on it. But I feel like this is not our thing. Yeah, we did get the email and, whatever, we've had this discussion, but I don't know. I feel like it.
Well, that's fine. If you want to refer it to the building department, I just wanted to make sure that the ZBA addressed the letter because it came to them.
Right. So but my thing, Bob, is
Yeah.
either the enforcement issue has to be addressed to everybody's satisfaction, or I suspect we will be back here with something that, whatever, if it would be a lot better to fix it the other way, I think.
Very good.
Does everybody kind of agree with that?
Yes.
Tom, you got,
I do, and just looking at the original letter that did come to us was rescinded. It was not, prior, not this recent one. So yeah, it's landing on our lap. Maybe now this will.
okay. Kim is here now. So Kim, listen, we've been discussing this. If you want to just come in and take a quick seat, because we're not going to be presenting. We're not going to be talking. We're just having a little discussion ourselves with the town attorney. And basically, I think the way that we feel right now, this is not our thing because there's not actually a formal appeal going on here. And so, Bob says that this is basically an enforcement issue. And I said, well, then there needs to be something worked out on the enforcement between the building department, your client, the wards, so that everybody can walk away from this happy. And if not, then Mr. Dalton is free to file an appeal of the building department's decision to issue the building permit based on that not being a front yard and it being a rear yard. And at that point, then we would have presentations and discussions and whatever it might be. But the ZBA is not the enforcement body for this. The building department is. And if you can't get satisfaction for your client from them, then you can file an appeal and come here. Does that seem?
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think these discussions have helped me understand it. I have to say that I think that what we would be appealing might not be the building permit, the decision to issue a building permit, because I think the building department tried very hard to ensure that the right of way wasn't going to be used. They did that, and I don't quarrel with that. It's just that the applicant was using it. So
Can you please can speak to him?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
here's the thing. I don't want to get into the whole thing, listen, but you can come and appeal whatever it is that you
Okay,
might
fair
want to
enough, fair
appeal.
enough. We'll-
You know, whatever aspect of it
Right.
is, but that's, that's for another day.
Fair enough. I mean, I just wanted to, I was trying to get some refinement on the procedural issue of how we get here. 'Cause
Right.
Yes, I understand.
Right.
That's true.
And Christina and Bob can help you with the procedural issues here. And so that if something can't get worked out on this, then that's, I guess the next step in the process.
Well, it seems that the words are here. Perhaps we can step out in the hall and.
Sure, you all can,
If it's okay, I would like the record to reflect that we were copied on the correspondence that you received. And we just found out sort of circumstance because Lynn showed up doing her due diligence this afternoon. So we have been blindsided because no one has approached us with any sort of grievance of any kind. And we're very good neighbors.
I'll say this, I know that Christina did send an email, but I guess it was to a defunct email
It is to
address.
a defunct email
Okay.
address, And I have corresponded with my current email address, both with Bob
Okay.
and Lori and the building department on this particular permit.
Okay,
So you do have record
Okay.
of my current.
okay, very good.
And I did not.
And
receive
look,
any-
we're not making any decisions here or doing
I
anything like
I-
that today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure that the record reflects that no one has approached us or we did not know about this.
We didn't copy. We did not copy.
No, that's okay. Yeah, look, yeah, you, right, yeah. Look, you had, your client was bothered by an issue. Okay, you wrote us an email, right? Christina did attempt to reach you. Okay, and so there's no bad intent here. All right. My intent is to try to make this have a happy ending. If it doesn't, then it can come back here as a hearing and we can do something with it. I don't know what you can appeal a number of things if you choose to.
Well, hopefully we won't have. to.
Right,
We
that's
certainly share.
okay.
the
I
desire to work it
agree
out.
with that.
Okay, so maybe we could just like call an end to this discussion here tonight
Yes.
and hope for the best between all of you. And if that doesn't work out, then hopefully it's whatever, I guess not hopefully, but I guess then perhaps we'll be seeing you in the future. All right?
I have some confidence that surely we can work something out. There
Awesome.
are a number of good solutions to this.
Okay,
All right.
all right. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for alerting me for this and thank you, Christina.
Okay. Anybody up for some training? I kind of like to go home.
What kind of training do we have to do?
Yeah.
Home training.
Yeah, up for some training? Punch?
Yeah, I'm up to it.
Bob, is the training an executive session or is it in a, how do I handle public
We'll
attendance?
close the hearing and then we'll close,
Close the
okay,
meeting.
so you know what, let's, I'm gonna close the meeting, or I'd like to get a motion to close
I'll
the
make a
meeting.
motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's closed at 8:20.
Yeah, Christina, it's actually not even part of the meeting. It's an
Okay,
individual
Okay,
thing.
thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. So I
Because
can-
you're not discussing town business.
It will be mostly on a